In February 1959, 9 experienced Soviet hikers pitched their tent on a remote mountain slope in the Ural Mountains. Sometime in the night, they cut their way out of their own tent, from the inside, and ran into temperatures of nearly -30 degrees, some of them barefoot, some of them half-dressed. Every one of them died. Decades later, investigators still cannot agree on why. In late January 1959, a group of 10 experienced skiers and mountaineers set out from Sverdlovsk, in the Soviet Union, for a challenging winter trek through the Ural Mountains. Most were students at the Ural Polytechnic Institute, young, fit, and highly experienced in wilderness travel. Their route was rated one of the most difficult to Soviet hiking certification allowed. The group was led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, an experienced and well-respected hiker. Partway through the journey, one member turned back due to illness, leaving 9 hikers to continue into the mountains. It was a decision that, in hindsight, may have saved his life. On February 1st, the group reached the slope of a mountain the local Monsey people called Kolotsyakal, which translates, chillingly, to Dead Mountain. There, they began setting up camp for the night on an open, exposed slope, rather than descending into the safety of the treeline. Their final photographs, developed later from recovered cameras, show a group in good spirits, laughing, setting up camp, preparing for the night. It was the last anyone would ever see of them alive. When the group failed to send their expected return telegram, search parties were slow to organize. But by February 26, over 3 weeks later, a search team finally located their camp. What they found made no sense. The tent was still standing, still stocked with food, boots, and warm clothing. But it had been cut open from the inside, and every single hiker was gone. Search teams followed a trail of footprints leading away from the tent, down toward the tree line over a kilometer away. Most of the footprints showed the hikers were wearing only socks, or were entirely barefoot, in temperatures that had dropped to nearly -30 degrees Celsius. Near the tree line, searchers found the first 2 bodies, beneath a large cedar tree, wearing only underwear despite the extreme cold. The tree's branches, up to 5 meters high, had been broken, as though someone had desperately tried to climb it, perhaps to see something, or escape something, on the ground below. Over the following weeks, the remaining bodies were found scattered across the slope. 3 were found closer to the tent, seemingly trying to return. The final 4 were discovered over 2 months later, buried under several meters of snow in a ravine, and their injuries were unlike anything found on the others. Soviet investigators ruled that most of the group died of hypothermia. But the 4 hikers found in the ravine had catastrophic injuries. One had major skull fractures. Another had massive chest trauma severe enough to be compared to the force of a car crash. And yet, there was no external bruising or wounds consistent with a physical attack. Stranger still, one of the women in the ravine was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips, injuries later attributed to natural decomposition in running water, though the explanation has never fully satisfied everyone who has studied the case. The official Soviet investigation closed the case, citing a compelling unknown force. The files were sealed, and the area was closed to hikers for the next 3 years. That single unexplained phrase has fueled more than 60 years of theories. Theory 1. An avalanche. In 2019, Russian investigators reopened the case and pointed to a slab avalanche as the likely cause, though critics note the snow's slope angle and lack of typical avalanche debris don't perfectly match. Theory 2. Infrasound-induced panic, caused by wind moving across the mountain's specific shape, creating a disorienting, invisible force capable of triggering sheer terror. Theory 3. A secret Soviet weapons test in the area, never officially confirmed or denied. And Theory 4. The simplest and perhaps most likely. A combination of extreme weather, poor decisions, and sheer bad luck that will simply never be fully reconstructed. Today, a memorial stands near the site, and the pass itself now carries the group's leader's name, Dyatlov Pass. More than 60 years later, we know almost everything about how these 9 people died, and almost nothing about why. The mountain the Mansi people named Dead Mountain long before 1959 keeps its answers to itself. Subscribe to the Lost Archive, because next time, we're going back further still, to the greatest library the ancient world ever built, and the mystery of how so much human knowledge could simply disappear.